as somebody who's held a 4-day-old baby who had been raped and died, I feel like there's something that changes in you when you see such things and when you see how inhumane people can be. Oh. And this was a child who was by her own father. And that changed me in ways that I can never even talk about. In this country, if you are raped, if you're going to pursue justice, the rape kit needs to have been done in a public hospital or a recognized GVRC center, like say, for example, Nairobi Women or MSF. So I want you to imagine the process of you've been raped. I still reminding people that if you're raped, please do not shower. That's how we collect specimen. That is how we're able to collect evidence. And if you have clothes, kindly keep them in a brown bag or wrap them in a newspaper, not a plastic bag, and give them to the hospital or to the police as evidence.
What if you don't know the rapist?
Good luck.
Hey, wait.
And even if you know the rapist, you still have to prove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our guest is here. She is lovely in person. You're gonna see her in a few. She is Njeri Migwi. She is the founder of Usikimye. Now, for those who don't know Swahili, Usikimye directly translates to "Don't be silent." Yeah. So we're gonna give her the love and the opportunity to tell us what she does. Yeah, what she has handled, and even her personal experiences in this field. Hi, Njeri.
Hi.
You look so beautiful, man.
Thank you.
If
So
no one told you today, we appreciate your work.
Thank you.
I know you've not told people what you do yet, but we appreciate your work.
Really do.
You are an inspiration to us, younger girlies.
Thank you.
Anyway, so who is Njeri? What does she do? Yeah.
So my name is Njeri Migwi. I am the executive director and founder of Usikimye, an organization that seeks to end the prevalence of gender-based violence in Kenya. And as you all know, the statistics are there. But let me just reiterate the statistics so that you can understand why I say the prevalence of gender-based violence. In Kenya, according to Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, they did a survey 2 years back, and they said 1 in 3 women has either gone, will go through, or is currently going through. So we are 3 women. So chances are one of us will, or, will go through gender-based violence. Those statistics are already alarming as it is. And we're looking at a country that over 300,000 girls get pregnant every year. We are also looking at a country, based on the statistics that the police gave us the other day, 1 woman dies every 18 hours due to femicide. And as such, Usikimye was actually founded because of femicide in 2019, following the death of Dr. Ivy Wankeshe. I think we all know the case. But what most people remember is, yes, the man traveled and he killed her. What most people don't remember is the subsequent reaction to her death.
Yeah.
From the jeering, from the gaslighting that happened on social media, from people changing their PFPs into axes, from the threats, and worse still, there was a song called Katoshoka that happened after her death. And those are the questions that actually led me to open Usikimye. Because it's like, is it that we don't understand what gender-based violence is? It that we don't understand that a woman has been killed and brutally, in the most brutal, public, dehumanizing way possible? Then we go to social media and dehumanize her death. And from there was born the thing that we say a lot, alikula fair. Was born on the death of someone. Because everybody started saying, alikula fair, won't stay. She did this, and she did this. And I feel like right now in 2025, we're still repeating the same cycles. Probably it's even worse now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worse. So that being said, you've told us what you do, what Usikimye does, and the founding of it. But you see, when you found something, what is it called? When you start something, it must have hit home, or it must have hit someone close to you for you to have that urge. So, do you have an experience with gender-based violence or sexual assault that you're free to share of your conviction? Because you see, someone can start something today and then 2 years down the line they lose the vigor. Wasema tu, wacha ikae. So for you, what is that thing that either made you come out and be bold as you are, or that experience that it could be you, it could be someone close to you, that made your conviction strong as it is today?
I'm a survivor of gender-based violence myself. And I think that's what hit home. Because it's like, it's over too, but I don't want to be involved. I just want to sit on the side. But for me, when she died, I was like, oh my God, that could have been me. I mean, I know I've survived a few near-death experiences myself. And it was like, is it people don't understand? Like, that thing that you're like, I want people to understand that this thing is real. And for me, that is what made me speak up. I was like, I want people to get it. Like, people go through these things. They are people. And you can't just take human experience. And I don't know. I don't want to say I turned it into a passion, because I feel like this is beyond passion. I want people to understand that this thing affects our lives and how we run things and the trauma we carry. And for somebody who closely sees, because I did say what the founding was, what I didn't say is exactly what we do. And what we do is we respond. And when you respond, you get to see things that nobody ever told you that this is what you'd ever come to see. And for me, I always say, as somebody who's held a 4-day-old baby who had been raped and died, I feel like there's something that changes in you when you see such things. And when you see how inhumane people can be. And this was a child who was by her own father. And that changed me in ways that I can never even talk about. Yeah. And so when you respond, it's different. And so when you see people making fun of things, that's why most of the time I don't even have the energy to even go back and forth.
Yeah.
Because unatoa wapi hiyo nguvu? Sina, I'd rather save my energy to go and do something for the people that I serve, which are the survivors. GBV.
So I wanted to ask, with your Usikimye record and the comments on the Usikimye on the Usikimye page, I wanted to ask on the way you usually save kids, the way you usually come through for kids, and how the relatives or how can I say this? How the relatives usually hide the perpetrators. How do you usually feel about it?
Angry. Frustrated.
And what if you can't get to do something to get to them? Because I know most cases, because usually when you write an article about someone or a kid, there are usually cases that you usually come out and say, okay, the perpetrator has not been caught yet, knowing very well that they have been hidden by their parent and the society trying to defend them. How do you try and figure out a way to do such things to try and assure these perpetrators are going to be caught? How do you feel about them?
Let me tell you, because that's a very good question, and that's also a very hard question to answer. First of all, I don't understand it. As much as I've done this work, I don't understand it. Currently, we have a girl. She was raped when she was 16. She got a child. And the reason I'm saying she was raped is because she was raped by her dad. And she came to us. She walked to our office from very far. I'll not say where, because I can't divulge those details. But now we managed to finally get through to her sister. And we told her sister, she told her sister, I'm at Usikimye, and I've told you guys that my dad raped me, and none of you has ever reacted. And when her sister came, she asked her she wants proof. And And I just sat there and I was like, I am going to just walk out and not talk to these people, because what proof do you want? This girl is a baby. She's gotten a baby. She has told you. I didn't even know she had told them. It was when we were having the case conference at area. She actually told them, how many times have I told you that dad has done this? And continues today. And I'm not going, if I come back home, I'll kill myself. And she asked them, can you give me proof to prove that dad raped you? And I sat there and I was like, I can't believe that your sister is reaching out to you and she's asking, and the first thing that you're asking is, where is the proof?
Jesus.
And she told them, I'm not coming home with you. I'm not. If I come home, I promise you, take care of my baby. I'm going to die. And I was like, just leave her here. So we'll figure it out.
Was
So
the baby
first-
from the dad?
That's what we learned. As in, we're even learning it as we go along. So you see some of this. Then you're asking, where is the proof? The proof is there.
The baby.
Yeah. So we don't even need to go. And then, the sister is still arguing. And so that is one of the main problems that we have. One, we love our perpetrators. My brother cannot beat his wife. My husband cannot rape the maid. Me, Sisi. No, we can't. And we cover up. And 2 years ago, there's a girl called Cynthia. And this hurts me to the deepest. But anyway, all cases hurt. But most of the time, it's the fact that we hide perpetrators, we transport them. When we go to court whereby we've gotten somebody, and sometimes it's a case of rape, it's a case, whatever, I want to tell you, the number of people who come to support the perpetrators are so many. There's a time, they came with a bus, like a bus, and I was like, this man has been accused of raping his kids. And his family came from Mushago to court in a bus to support their own.
Yesu Christo.
And it happens so many times, you'll be very shocked. That notwithstanding, and we can say, okay, Sabauni watu Ushago, but even here, we hide perpetrators.
True.
And for people even, let's say what we call the middle class, we are the ones who even hide the most because we do not like shame.
True.
Sitakuwa na aibu. I don't want shame because we don't like shame, we don't like stigma. So we keep silent. Because now, what will people say when I say these things? What will people say if it comes out like I'm being beaten or like my husband abuses me? What will they say if people know my boyfriend beats me? What will people say is more important than the survivor? So we tend to protect perpetrators. And I say this because there's a girl, she was called Cynthia, she was 19, she came to Nairobi, she came to work. And because this is a matter of public record, I'll even say where. So she came to Embakasi and she was working for this family. She had barely worked for them for 2 weeks when the husband of that family, and he's a military man, desired her. And when she refused, he kidnapped her and went with his friends and raped her and then brutally beaten, snapped off her spinal cord. And then, he put her in a sack and then put her at Lunga Lunga. And the thing is, the people in the slums saw a big car through the sack. So they assumed it's probably something that fell off, right? And so they went and picked up the sack only to find there was a person. And that girl was taken to MSF, and then we were called, and then we accompanied her to Kenyatta Hospital, where she stayed alive.
Wait, she was still alive?
Yes, and she stayed alive for 4 days. We had to get her mom. Of course, she didn't come from a family with me, so we sent her fare, and then she came. And then she told her mom everything that happened. She was in so much pain, morphine couldn't help. Remember when I posted the story, there's somebody who wrote to me and told me I was in the same ward with this girl. We were in Kenyatta, in this and this, and I was like, yeah, you're right. And she screamed and screamed for the 4 days that she stayed alive because she was in so much pain. She told her mom exactly what happened, where she was working, who the perpetrator was, and what they did to her, because it wasn't just the perpetrator, it was the perpetrator and his friends. And we went to the home and we told the wife. And she comes to court with her husband.
Yay!
And so I don't get it. So that's what I'm trying to say. When it comes to perpetrators, I don't get it. Because this man literally killed that girl. And she comes to court with her husband every time we come to court.
Has sorry to ask this, on these people hiding perpetrators, has there any person come forward to you, try to bribe you to like drop the case?
Yeah,
Whoa.
of course. And we're, yeah.
Like the family literally usually approach you to like drop
That is...
and keep quiet.
That is standard procedure, no? In this country, see, we bribe people.
Yay.
So if they can't bribe you, so they'll go and bribe the other people who are bribable.
Did Cindy ever get justice, or was it?
They're still in court.
And the dude is out on bond or?
He's a military man. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yay.
So we know this, but we're just pushing for it. You have to keep pushing. And the thing is, in this country, you have to keep pushing and hoping that one day justice will catch up with you as you keep on pushing.
Well,
We do get justice, though, sometimes.
while in court, with the Cynthia case, what has this man ever said in court? And you're like,
Not guilty.
eh.
Oh, you thought he was going to admit guilt?
No, I
This
mean
is
like
a deathbed
statement.
confession. That's all we have, a deathbed confession. And chances are he'll walk. We have had justice for so many cases. I also need you to know that it's not hopeless. It's not hopeless. I know there's a feeling of like, if it was hopeless, I wouldn't be doing this. We fight and we get justice. And we get children from bad homes. We get them good homes. So I want you to know that there is hope. Like, let me give you a good case that we had. The girl that we rescued who had been locked in for 10 years. She's working, she's cooking, she's happy. This year we're looking for a school for her to go.
Hey.
Yeah. See, things happen. Things happen and things work. We have so many positive cases and we have so many thank yous.
What about the rape victims? And people ask, what about the other side of the story? How do you respond to such?
And in the same line of thought, how do you also feel like our culture in Kenya propagates DV and femicide? Because I mean, the ultimate outcome is femicide. It is not a good outcome, but the ultimate outcome is femicide. How do you feel like our culture propagates the pushing of, if it's a woman, it's okay. If it's a man, we have to hold it with much grace. We even have to down our tools and what have you. Yeah.
You know, the problem with, we live in a very patriarchal society.
True.
And the problem with patriarchy is that it eats its own children. Patriarchy is only there for men in power. If you don't have power, it is actually going to eat you too. That's all. It's a system that is meant to protect those ones. As people who went for Mandamano, didn't we all just see that?
So
That everybody came together to protect what they have. And for those that didn't have, they died. So it's a system that, under conditioning, that doesn't help or favor any one of us. On top of patriarchy, we have rape culture. We have, unfortunately, victim blaming. In this country, you will be blamed for being raped. You'll be blamed for being beaten. You'll be blamed even for being killed. So that is the unfortunate part, is that we have a lot of victim blaming, gaslighting. We have blame shifting. So this is what you see a lot. And for me, I feel like because of this, that's where the problem comes from. As far as I'm concerned, my first course of action and our first course of action should always be believe survivors. I'd rather believe you and I'm proven wrong than not believe you and you actually survived. And that is a problem. Because a lot of times, in Kenya especially, it's very little chances. I promise you the onus of proving rape is always upon the victim. And with a country that doesn't have a forensic lab that actually goes through samples, the one forensic lab, the government chemist, and there's apparently one at the DCI. But chances of even the DNA being checked is so hard. So the threshold of proving rape is always on the victim. Yeah. And so majority of the time, you get tired, first of all. So if you don't even believe the victim, who gets to hold fought for the victim? That's why I'm there. That's why organizations like us exist, to tell the victims we're here to offer you support. And majority of the time, especially for adult victims, even for children, most of them don't even want to go to court. Because the process already, by the time you go to the police, to the hospital, remember, and I think it's important also for people to know that in this country, if you are raped, if you're going to pursue justice, the rape kit needs to have been done in a public hospital or a recognized GVRC center, like say, for example, Nairobi Women or MSF. So I want you to imagine the process of you've been raped. I still reminding people that if you're raped, please do not shower. That's how we collect specimen. That is how we're able to collect evidence. And if you have clothes, kindly keep them in a brown bag or wrap them in a newspaper, not a plastic bag, and give them to the hospital or to the police as evidence. Now, that is where you go. Start imagining that journey. All the way now, you've gone to hospital, you have to go to the police, then you have to return back the P3. You have to do that, not anybody else. Ideally, you should be accompanied by the policeman, but in Kenya, policing is 1:200,000 people, so we don't have enough police. So atakupeleka sangapi, and there are so many cases. Remember, 1 in 3 women?
Yeah.
So if 1 in 3 women is going through, can you imagine how overwhelmed the police already are? So you will have to go to hospital, then come back to the police, get a P3, take it back to hospital, the doctor sign, come back to police.
What if you don't know the rapist?
Good luck.
Hey, wait.
And even if you know the rapist, you still have to prove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a victim of rape, I'm usually like...
Hold up. Is that something you're saying, or are you giving an example?
It's something that I'm saying. I was a victim of rape.
Do you have the grace to say this?
Yes.
Okay.
As a victim of rape, I'm usually scared to come out and call out the teacher who raped me. I was like in class 6. And then the reason why I'm scared to come out is because the people who defended him were women, who were his co-workers. They were like, oh, you don't have anything to show. You don't have... So that thing sometimes eats me up because I can't do anything to this man. And then, most women who are in jail, they're in jail because they went there because of self-defense. Most women who are in jail, they are in jail because they wanted to take a revenge, because the police couldn't do anything. So sometimes I usually feel like it eats me up knowing that this person is still out there teaching. Yeah. And you can't do anything. And you just have to look, because, the dude is still a teacher right now at the government school. And you can't do anything. You can't come out and say, this person raped me, because
You don't have
you don't have proof, And then, so sometimes it usually eats me up knowing that more girls are going through this, but then they're actually being shushed by the women around them. So I don't know how to handle such things. I don't know how to help such women, because you don't know how things work out here. Yeah.
First, I'm truly, deeply sorry.
Thank you.
And have you thought first about seeking therapy in regards to that? I know you think this is something that happened to me a long time, but have you thought of doing that?
I did therapy.
And?
Well, they told me that I should just forgive him and let go. Yeah, they said like, when you forgive, probably you will heal. And I just had to let go. I had to let go. But in as much as it pains me to see, in as much as, literally the reason even why I want to move out to my area is because even when I go to buy grocery, I see him. I bump to him. I bump into him.
Okay.
I see him. And then probably sometimes you usually have nightmares. Sometimes even when you sometimes even after sex, you feel guilty. You know how rape victims usually are. So sometimes even after sex, you usually feel guilty. You feel dirty. You remember what happened to you. So yeah, most of the time I usually bump into him, and then I don't know how to handle it. Sometimes I'm filled with rage if I want to kill him. I'm filled with rage if I want to do such things. Yeah, so it usually affects me sometimes.
After this podcast, we are going to talk. And we are going to have trauma counseling because you still carry the burden of what happened to you. That's one. Number two, we need to write a letter to the school. It doesn't matter whether it happened 10 years, 15 years, it doesn't matter. 5 years ago. That is your honest to do it because it happened to you. And I feel like one of the ways in which you can find a way to get justice is to write to the school. It's up to them, but you have done your part. And tell them this happened to me in this class. We will help you write that letter. We will support you to do that because I feel like that is the right course of justice. And also, when it comes to issues of sexual violence, there is a way that therapy is done because that's what we do, because it gives you coping mechanisms to understand that it was not your fault. That's number one. You don't carry any blame in this. It has never been your fault. And so even when you have sex, this is a consistent reminder that it is not your fault. You are not dirty. You did not deserve what happened to you. You are okay. The burden and the onus of the guilt lies with the rapist, not you.
I remember seeing that man's face telling me, hata ukisema ni wewe ndio ulinitongoza. I remember so well. I remember him saying, ukikosa kukuja hii tuition, utajua mahali utaenda. And then I remember I would go back home without panties. And then my mom would tell me, oh, I bought panties recently. Where are the panties? I'd be like, teacher alinirarua panty. And then she'd be like, unatolea mwalimu suruari kwa nini? Na yeye anajuanga umevaa suruari aje. So sometimes,
Oh my God.
it's not usually about sometimes even when for me, I've gotten to a point where sexual assault is nothing to me, honestly. And I've adapted. I grew up in a space whereby I grew up in Huruma. You know Huruma, right?
I know, Huruma.
I grew up in a space whereby
It happens.
you would
a lot.
even like get fucked for a geometrical set, to get a geometrical set because you can't afford it. And I grew up in a space whereby it would be so hard to like, I don't know how to put it. For me personally, I was shown that I have to give myself to get something that I want. For me, even when it came to like sex, even dealing with pedophilia, you couldn't tell me anything about this man is trying to groom me, this man is trying to take this from me. So sometimes, I'm sorry, I'll have to open up. So as a kid, I grew up being pressured. And, there was this pressure of, huyu amekuja na set ya signature, huyu amekuja na set ya Oxford. So you want the Oxford set. And then you remember, huku kwenyu kuna shopkeeper, when you go and buy something, anakukuna
kwa
mkono. So, I remember one time when I was in class 6, the same to class 6 too. And then I was experiencing adolescent, tits are coming out. So, obviously, me on the pressure of kutafuta set ya Oxford, I remember the shopkeeper invited me back door of his shop. He had a whole wife. The shop is still there. When I passed through that way, the shop is still there. I was like, oh, you should get back here and nikupe set. And then, he did what he did and then gave me the set. And then I didn't see nothing wrong with it until I was grown. I was like, this man literally took advantage of me.
No, he raped you.
Julia said,
I want you to use the correct words. How old were you when you were in class 6?
probably 12.
You're 12 years old. What's a 12-year-old called?
A minor.
What's the word?
A minor.
A child. I don't even want you to use the technical term. I want you to use the word child. 12-year-old is a child, not even a teenager. He didn't take advantage of you. He was the adult in this situation. You were a child. And these people knew that. You had no agency. You had nothing to say. You just wanted a sat. He could have sent you to your mom. He could have told you, as an adult, I will not do this. But he did it. So he raped you. And I want you to know right now, because I feel like there's a lot of self-blame here. Like, because I was born and raised in Huruma, I deserved it because that's what goes on in Huruma. My organization is in Soweto in Kayole. I see these cases. So I know that you didn't deserve it. I sit with girls as young as 12, 15, 14, and they tell me, mi nitapatia mtu ukedi, si walinishikisha. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because in the ghetto, it's so normalized that girls at 13 get married because there's no food in their homes, right? And so the easiest way to get out of that is to get married. Because sometimes poverty does not afford us dignity. And because there is no dignity in poverty, girls are forced to do things that they have no business doing. And I just want to remind you today that it was not your fault. That you are a child. And those men took advantage of you and raped you. And you don't owe anyone forgiveness, by the way. I hate the fact that religion tells us we have to forgive people. You don't owe anyone forgiveness. You owe people what you feel. You're angry, you're frustrated, you have gone through things nobody should go through. And these things have affected how you see men. These things have affected how you see sex. Your enjoyment of things that you should be able to enjoy has been affected because of the trauma that you carry. You carry trauma.
So in the past 1 week, 2 weeks, you've been running a campaign in collaboration with Joanna Kay, because of the red lipstick and what have you. And could you give us a background of this campaign? What is the drive behind the campaign? I understand there has to be some monetary, assistance that is required, because we in a world where money is essential. Yeah, we understand. So yeah.
So you all know that I talk about femicide.
Yes.
A lot on all my platforms. And the reason I talk about femicide is because the numbers have been escalating. Even the numbers we had, and then the police came and gave us fresh numbers, were quite shocking.
True.
Because that is when it changed. If you look at the campaign, we had said a woman is killed every 2 days. Only when we now took the police numbers, because they were desegregated by how these women were killed, is when we realized a woman is killed every 18 hours. And so when Ogilvy came to me, and they wanted to do a CSR project with us. And I was like, you guys have the means, the power, and the resources to make this femicide issue a bigger issue than it is. And so what you're seeing is Ogilvy giving to Usikimye. And even the influencers that are in this project are doing this freely, of their own free will. So the idea was a red lipstick has been a symbol of women and women's freedom. When they're fighting for something, women wear red lipstick. So that is where Project Red Lipstick was. And so when we approached Joanna Kay was like, I'm in. She didn't even think to it. She was like, what do I need to do? I mean, we need to criminalize femicide. So what do I need to do? And she was like, yeah, so we are wearing red lipstick as a silent protest during this time up until May 1. And then secondly, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we hold the government accountable. So we are doing things backward. We are getting public participation so that they cannot kick the bill out.
Okay.
Yeah. So once we get the 100,000 signatures, what essentially I want people to understand is that femicide is homicide. Because I see a lot of people saying, but is in femicide murder and murder is criminalized. The thing with femicide that makes it different, and even when it comes to murder, all murders are different. Kuna manslaughter, and even within manslaughter, you'll be told there's vehicular manslaughter, you tend a murder with intent, all these things that contribute about murder. When a child is killed, a small child, we say it's infanticide. Children, when children are, let's say, for example, when a child is defiled, even within the children, there are different, offenses for even the age. So when we come to now femicide, what we're trying to say is this is gendered violence. You can look at it. It has a pattern. It has a pattern, and the pattern is so clear. You can see it for yourself. 75% of femicide are intimate partner. So it's gendered. It comes from a loved one. It comes from somebody you could have been in a relationship with, an ex, your current, your partner. So when we look at it from that angle. And also, the rise in it is because, number one, weak policing. Not weak laws, just weak policing. We have laws, but these laws don't apply. Higher, you've been arrested, you stay. If you all looked at Ivy Wangeshi, her judgment came last year. So men are killing people and saying, I won't be arrested. The man who killed 2 girls in his village, when he was arrested, he was very shocked because he knew he could get away with it, right? He said, sikudhani nitashikwa. Do you know the reason why people are arrested and taken to court is to make sure that this thing does not continue? But the reason why it keeps on escalating is because majority of the people, if 129 women were killed, there should be an equal number of people in jail, but they're not there. So the cases keep on, escalating and escalating. And even in the 129 murders, 15 were done in public places. 15%, not 15. 15
still
percent, which is crazy because 15% is a large number. Were done in public places, in fields, in bars, public places. You think of it, stages.
like mass house. Okay.
Yes. That's a murder done in a public place, right? So when you think about such things, that is the kind of data we are looking at when it's segregated. If you're looking at those 2 girls in Kiambu, they were killed by a neighbor. They grew up together. One girl was 19, the other one was 22, and the neighbor that killed them was 25.
And they even attended the funeral.
He dug the graves that these girls were buried in, and then he also attended. The only reason that man was caught, he had one of the girls' phones and he was using it. But the second girl, he dropped the phone in a big latrine.
Yeah.
So you start to see it's an escalation. The first girl he didn't bury, he dumped her in a coffee plantation. The second girl, he buried her shallowly. And these 2 killings were done in 2 weeks. So he killed the first one and was like, I can do this again, and did it again to the next neighbor. These are people he saw, watched, grew up with, played with. So even when they went, probably they saw him, they knew he was their neighbor, and he had zero remorse. So the reason why we want to criminalize femicide is the numbers are too heavy. It continues to go on. The perpetrators think they can get away with it and have been getting away with it. So we need a crime and a bill that fits the crime so that people can be like, hey, wait. There's that second thought.
What do you think about the politicians who usually go to the parliament and say, oh, these women are being killed because they don't have their own money?
So those 2 girls that I've just mentioned, one had been sent by her mom. She was a teenager, right?
Yeah.
She had been sent by her mom to go and get groceries. Was she looking for money?
No.
The other one was coming home from a date with her boyfriend. It's actually her boyfriend who made them aware. He came, that's when we say, Galis, he can if he wants to. So they had if you get home, you call me. So she didn't call. So he got alarmed. He called her parents and asked, hey, she hasn't come home. Boys rose and they're like, no. The next morning he was at her parents because he hadn't gotten. Went with them to the police to report her missing. So was she also looking for money?
No.
And I can tell you, 75, what did we say about the 75%?
Most of them are close to you.
Close. Yes. And even so, if I am a sex worker, which means I'm having sex with you for money, does that mean I deserve to be killed?
No.
Exactly. End of story. There is no justification for any killing. If you have a problem with the services I provided with you, twende kotini. Or let's go to, siku hizi kuna small claims court. There is a small claims court. Let's go there. Let's go, you say, I did not like the services this person gave me, and therefore I would like my money paid. But why? What is a justification for killing a sex worker?
But they usually say, especially when it comes to a prostitute case, they usually say that prostitution is a crime in Kenya. That's why most people
And
kill
murder
prostitutes.
is not a crime.
It is a crime.
It's a crime.
So do you see how those two things don't correlate? And also, let us also talk about the fact that when we say that sex work is criminalized, and I am very much against decriminalization of sex work, because sex workers also, it's work. Sex work is work. And they need safety when they're doing their work. Because irrespective of what your feelings or your moral standing is on this thing, sex work will continue. It is the oldest trade. Before we were born and after we die, it will still continue. What needs to happen is it needs to happen in the light. Not uko in the dark streets where you can kill women. And then I also need people, when they talk about this, the only reason there is sex trade is because it's not because there's supply. It's because there's demand. If there was no demand, there would be no supply. So the supply needs to be safe so that the sex workers that provide these services are safe. They have commodities, they're able to be safe. And I'm using sex workers because sex workers could be both female and male. But it's the female ones that majority get killed. The people who go and have sex and murder the sex workers, who are they?
Men.
No, who are they? If they are men, for example, these men are who? Whose men are they? They are people's husbands, they are people's brothers, they are people's people.
True.
Right? And these people come into the house, they have murdered a sex worker yesterday, and they sleep next to you. What will they do to you tomorrow?
Do you feel like the state of how we relate between men and women contribute to this overall outburst? Because you see, if it gets to a point whereby we are viewing a certain group of people as just objects we can discard, that's why many people don't have an issue with femicide, because women have been tools of trade, spoils of war, what have you. Do you feel like the state of how we relate from man and woman in that enclosed space contributes to the overall crime?
Why, yes. First and foremost, we also need to interrogate, where did this attitude come from? Because the attitude is worsening. Right now, when you're looking at, there's a very large number of men that have become incels. Because it's not all the men that are out there just being bad men. We have an incel culture that has creeped into. Can you imagine being Kenyan and being an incel? Jesus Christ. Anyway, we have a homegrown incel culture in Kenya that unfortunately is even seeping to younger boys. Because I grew up in Nairobi. I went to school in Nairobi, and honestly, in Nairobi River Primary School, we were the same. We had equal competition. Boys were competing against girls, in school and in class, and it was normal. And the thing is, we start from home where even chores are gendered. So the girls should wash, dishes or clean the house while the boys are out playing football, and so on and so forth. What do you think that reinforces to the boys? That girls are supposed to be doing the chores. So what happens when you meet a girl who doesn't want to do chores? who doesn't understand that her work is to submit and be subservient to you.
She's
You're
lazy.
triggered, you're angry.
You're triggered and you're angry. So it starts with parenting. We have to be conscious of how we are parenting children. We have to be conscious of why can't boys wash dishes? Why you come, I'm tired, you're tired, tumetoka job. Both of us have come from work, right? Why is it so hard for you to be, I'll be cooking, you'll be helping me wash dishes. Or you cook, I help you wash dishes. Right?
Yeah.
And I find that so odd that we find that is, there are people who feel like that is humiliating. The kitchen belongs to everyone. You're hungry, I'm hungry, we are hungry. We can both go to the kitchen and cook. And if you go outside of Kenya, let's say to outside of, like to other countries where you cannot afford, say, a house help, everybody carries their weight. People do chores, not because it's by choice, because or it's expected. It's because you are hungry. Go to the kitchen, make a sandwich. No one is going to wait on you hand and foot. And so then it becomes an entitlement. And then it becomes an expectation. And when an expectation is not met, there are consequences. You start to see how that works. And so that attitude, we carry it forth and bring it to social media. How you perceive women, how you see women for you. And then now we have, are they called masculinity coaches? Akina Andrew Tate, those people who are out here carrying on a culture that is not even ours, that we have absorbed it and run away with it. All right? So that also doesn't help. Because unfortunately, for example, when you go to like boys' school to give talks and you hear how they are talking, that is a time you will know we have problems. Because they've taken what is just Twitter speak, what we see as banter. And I will remind you that there is a pyramid of violence. Okay? And where does it start? Banter.
Jokes.
It's just jokes. It's never that serious. Mbona mnabeba hiyo kitu serious?
You guys are emotional.
A gorgeous woman posted a photo 2 days ago.
Oh, yes, Muffy.
And somebody took that picture and cut it into portions and started saying, these legs are for a 16-year-old. This is for a... And my mouth was, I was like, what is happening? What? Excuse me? And it was so bad, it went viral, internationally even. And so now my question becomes, you see that thing? It is just joke. It is just banter. We've taken it and we've brought it into social media. And it's starting to become culture because culture is formed. Culture is always evolving. And now rape culture has evolved to become part of our mainstream culture, where we see women as objects. Because why would you take somebody you don't know them and then you start dehumanizing them? On what account? You start to see the problem. And so when you stop seeing me as human, it becomes very easy to kill me. It becomes very easy for you to violate me because you don't see me as a person. Why is it? Why do I have to prove my humanity to you because I'm a woman? Why do I have to prove that I matter because I'm a woman? Why can't you see me as your equal? We have a problem. And that problem comes from social cultural norms, which is something that we need to change. We need to change attitudes. And we're not winning this war unless we get men to become our allies. And I say this boldly and without even a worry. The problem we have is good men do nothing.
Are they really good men if they do nothing?
I was going there. I was going to say, somebody said, evil reigns because good men do nothing. And that is evil, just evil. No, we're not even talking about violence against women. When you are there and your boy is beating his girlfriend and you're like, it's none of my business. And even for women who are like, yeah, she deserved it. Ulikuwa umevaa nini? You see, you can't just say good men. We also need to talk about those patriarchal norms, because they are patriarchal norms that we need to start breaking. Why are we so comfortable being friends with people who have been alleged rapists, people who are wife beaters? How is it that in Kikuyu, in French we say, mutire mwishi na mushodheria.
Hakuna mwizi na kuchungulia.
Hakuna mwizi na ule anachungulianga their own looker. If we are all caught, we'll be arrested on the same.
All of us are thieves.
So why are you so comfortable You need to be the person who's been like, man, if this is the kind of person you are, me, I'm out. Okay? Because you don't even know when that infects you. We say we are the sum total of the 5 people we work with. So if I work with a wife beater, what are the chances I will turn him not to become a wife beater and he becomes like me? Chances are he'll also start becoming a wife beater. So I need men to stand up and be counted in this fight.
You've identified where it comes from, the flow, the pyramid. I think I've seen that on social media a lot.
I have also,
in the past
even
week.
in our website.
Yeah. So let's start now the change conversation, because we've talked about where it starts from. So how do we change the narrative? Because we've identified that, one, our home grooming is terrible. Our institutions are backing up the nonsense, from education to, whoever is supposed to protect us, to the protective services and what have you, to even the national system, where we are signing a petition so that it can become a law. So what changes do we actively need to take?
For me, I need parents to start talking to their children. You are not too busy to talk to your children. I need parents to check on their children. What are your children doing? What are they reading? What are they learning? It's not enough that they go to school and you do homework. Do you talk to your kids? I find it very weird that parents are like, me, I don't talk to my kids. What? Can we be intentional parents? Can we be intentional mothers? Parenting is not fun by all means. And I say this as somebody who's a parent. It is work, but it is work you signed on to do the day you decided to become a mother. And that's why for me, I'm always like, can we be intentional parents? We can't just be getting children. Can we get children that we're intentional about? What is your children? You can't be like, Baba umelia. Here. Baba unafanya? Shika. Oh my God, your kid is always on the TV. We even have, I was listening to something. I was talking to some teachers. I was judging a panel. And these teachers were talking about how kids have become so used to TV and how sight is deteriorating because of the rate in which we give children blue light. Which means blue light is what is soothing kids. And how much kids cry when they're not on the TV. Because we've used TV as our babysitter, as a way of making kids to keep quiet, because we are tired, we are stressed. But you chose that life. You made a decision to become a parent. Whether the decision was yours or it was forced, you are now a parent. The child is here. Can we be better parents? That's number one. Can we start tackling this social, these social norms at that age, so that even as a child comes up, this child is coming up knowing, this is who I am. This is how we do things. And let me tell you, and I say this, I was raised by a single dad. So you can imagine in 1980s, uko mbaba akiraise a little baby, a little girl. Okay? Alone. Solely, it was me and my dad. By the way, for those people who think, because you're a feminist, you don't come from me. I have a solid dad behind me who backs me up. And the thing is, there is no excuse. The reason I've given that as an example is so that there is no excuse. What is this excuse for being an absent parent? Can you imagine being a single dad in the 80s when it was unheard of? And you're just there with your baby. We would go everywhere together. If my dad is going to chill in the we are chilling. Me, I'm sitting on that Sinatabu. He's sitting over there. He's having his Tusker. I'm having my Fanta. Then we bounce back home. He never left me. If you go to people who know us, they'll tell you, ni Baba Njeri na handbag yake, handbag being me. Because we were always together. What excuse do men have then? If that was happening then, what excuse do you have? It's been 40 years. What excuse do you have? Not to raise your children, to be an absent father. Why are you not present in your kid's life? So that is something we also need to talk about.
Why does the justice system continue to fail victims of femicide?
Number one, again, backlogs in courts. Not enough magistrates, that's one. Number two, in as much as we have SGBV courts, they are few and far in between. We need more. And we need this, the reason we want this law is so that these cases are also expedited. The reason when you have an act like that, and one of the things we want in that act is expedition of these cases. So that somebody knows, hey, I will not be outside. I'll not be outside for long. If I murder somebody in a year, I'll be jailed. But cases for gender-based violence take so long. We have a case that is 7 years old. That girl was pregnant when she was, 10? She's now, 17? And the case has never gone anywhere. So now you're 17, you have a 7-year-old, and we are still in court fighting for that case. Do you start to see a problem?
And the dude is still out.
Well, yes, if you can afford bail, you'll be out. So the courts are also failing us. The courts are failing. I think they're failing everybody. They're doing everything other than what they're supposed to.
What about Chief Justice?
Chief Justice Kome is a person who came up with SGPV courts. I don't know what else to say. She did do her part. So this is a failure. This is a systemic failure by the whole court system, from top to bottom. This is a system of corruption, where these cases are not important enough to be carried with the weight that they need to be carried with. That is the honest truth.
What about female leaders? Do they reach out to you?
Do you know the only female leader who has ever reached out to me? The new CS.
Who?
Eh?
The one?
Yes.
The one who said that women die?
Yes.
Or?
She reached out to me because she was told by her own children that, Mom, you better reach out to Njeri and understand what femicide is.
Bas.
Okay.
She called me before she was even appointed as a CS.
No, that's after what she said of Parliament.
She told me, Njeri, I would like to have a conversation with you if you will allow me, because I had refused. They called me for more than 24 hours. They called like 15 times. And she requested to have a conversation. And we had a conversation. And I sat her down. And I broke it down to her. And I asked her to make a public apology, which she did. And I told her, do I count you as an ally? Her signature is appended on that. And she was so sorry. And she told me, I explained it to her. Because for a lot of people, it's a those people's thing. Until you bring it home and you explain it to her. And I asked her, can you be an ally in this fight? Yeah.
And you see, I think that is part of what is driving the change. You know, the education, the constant, not just education, the constant education, the constant reminder. Because you see, as much as we want to say these things happen out of ignorance, out of not knowing, the constant education is pulling more and more people out of this death hole, out of this. Because you see, yeah, we've understood that there is a failure in the system. It's actually a systemic failure. There's a failure in our education and not of you. But we are starting from somewhere. For example, the petition. By the way, for my international audience, we are signing a petition in Kenya where we are gathering 100,000 signatures so that we can have femicide be criminalized in Kenya. It is not yet a crime, but we are heading there, baby steps. So that is part of the change. And I genuinely applaud you guys for that one. I know it is intense, but I genuinely applaud you for that. The work you do is astounding, in case no one told you. I know people have told you, but from Wangaramena, your work is astounding. You have held us, feminists, because it is a long day in office, being a feminist in Kenya. But what do we say? I mean, those are perks of the job. Most of us, we want to help. Most of us don't have the financial backing to help. But what are other avenues? Us as young people, young women, young men who want to help, who want to see the betterment of this cause. What are things we can do to back up? Okay, signing the petition aside, what are other things we can do as we wind up?
Sign the petition. I will still insist, sign the petition. We are 27,000 signatures close. Yes, we are 73,000 signatures as of this morning. We need 27,000. Share, talk to people, let them know why we are doing this. That is one. Number two, it's not always about money, but money is good. That's 20 bob, 30 bob, 50 bob that you spare. So send it. But you have skills. How can you enhance your skills? Somebody reached out to me and said, hey, me, I've gone to school. And Njeri, I feel like I can help you do graphic work. So there are the people who do my graphic work. No, they don't even need to come to the office. I'm like, hey, I have this graphic I need done. Are you able to do it? Cool. You have things that you can help. Some people may not necessarily want to come to Soweto, but you have these skills that you're able to do. Hey, I can maintain your website. Hey, I have these skills. I can do this. You understand? And even the most basic, share the work, right? Give out your skills. You have skills. We have kids who meet every Saturday. How about you and your gathering of friends be like, we'll be coming maybe once every 2 months, once every month. We come spend a Saturday afternoon with these kids. We teach them, we educate them. We start raising children who have understanding about these issues. Where are these kids going to get examples if not from young people like you? Right? So you can share your skills, you can share your time. I'm a big believer in volunteering for a cause. Ask how you can volunteer. Also say, these are the skills I have. I can give you once a week. I can give you an hour. How can we do this? Right? And keep on amplifying the message. And just keep on being, on understanding that gender-based violence is everybody's problem. And as I always say, we are the solution. You and I can end gender-based violence. It's that simple.
So the last parting shot, how can people who, because Usikimye helps survivors, how can they reach you? What are your hotlines, your social media pages for Usikimye, your emails? Yeah.
Our social media pages are all Usikimye and Njeri Migwi, because it has become now also a social media page. And then info@usikimye.org. Our helpline, the one you call when you need help, is 0800 000 999. 0800 000 999. Yeah, and DM or call that number.
And where do we send the petition?
The petition is on usikimye.org. Also, it's linked on our bio as well.
So I think that was it. That was lovely. You guys don't know how it feels being in the presence of
Look
like
at this
Njeri
one.
Migwi.
Oh, that was heavy.
That's what she said.
So that was such an insightful conversation with Njeri. And as we wind up, because we're winding up the episode, I know, guys, you wanted us to be here, but yeah, all good things must come to an end. Yeah. So what did you take from the whole conversation?
We need to communicate more and actually be ready to actually say these things out loud. These are things that have been hushed for way too long. And it's all about communicating your thoughts, being very wide, have a wider scope in what you think. Just be open-minded to anything that might come up and like communicate. No Usikimye, please don't. Yeah.
What about you, Teswati? Like, what is your take home from all this?
It's okay to not be okay. And actually, you can open up whenever you want. And there are places that you can reach out. And I have learned that you don't really have to. You don't have to like go above and beyond to just be in a space where people want you to be. And it's okay to not be okay. That's my take. Yeah.
I feel like for me, my take home is that everyone has a responsibility in society. All of us shy away from, it's not my work, the bystander effect. Okay, for those who don't know the bystander effect is whereby we ignore things because they do not directly apply to us. We all have a responsibility towards navigating femicide, navigating GBV. You might think it does not affect you, but one way or another, you will come and end up in the clutches of these things. And at that point there, you will have an astounding revelation. You'll sit down and be like, why did I stay silent about this for too long? Why did I not take action when I had the chance? So when you have the opportunity to do something about it, when you have the opportunity to even speak about it, no, we're not even asking about, contributing money or doing what, to even just speak about it, to even call out these people in our spaces. I feel like when you have the chance, just take it. you might not think it affects you, but later on it will affect either your daughter, either your son, either who. And also, one last thing, a lot of us need to exercise cognitive empathy. You do not need to be in that situation for you to show that you actually care or you actually understand the weight this thing holds. You don't have to have experienced, GBV, to have experienced SA or whatever for you to sympathize. You just need to be human and understand that this is something that is hurting my counterparts, that is hurting women in society, for you to come forward and say, And that is a message to the men watching this podcast. Women, can we step out of that bubble of it does not affect, the bystander effect? Overall, it was such a nice conversation. I feel refreshed. I feel I've gained knowledge from Chivelle, from Tesoti, from Njeri. I just feel nimetoka hapa once I've learned something new. I don't know about you guys. I feel like I've learned something new. Anyways, again, all good things must come to an end. That being said, we're going to have to say turus. We're going to have to say bye.
Okay.
And that was an episode of what?
That's what she said. That's what she said.